Hey folks, Alan Saunders, Brendan Howe here at St. Vincent College. Just wrapped up Steelers training camp practice number 9 of 2025. And I don't know if I can oversell this one, Brendan. This was probably, they did practice in the gym one day, so we won't count that. But of the practices they've actually had here at St. Vincent College, probably the least interesting one so far. I had a Steelers coach walk by me during a slow period and just said, "I'm bored." It was a slow day today, but certainly I think a lot we can still learn from today's practice. The big news, of course, was the guys who weren't here, probably more than the guys who were. An extensive list of Steelers players not practicing today. Let's see if I can get them all. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, Calvin Austin, DJ Thomas Jones, Calvin Anderson, Ryan McCollum, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Keanu Benton, Corey Trice, Joey Porter, Asezi Otomowo, Dante Kent. I think I might have gotten anyway, of that whole group of guys, the only ones that have been rolled out for tomorrow's practice, which will be in pads, by the way, here at St. Vincent College, are Corey Trice and Calvin Anderson. Seems like they have medium-term soft tissue injuries. It's a hamstring for Trice. Not sure exactly what it is for Calvin Anderson. Otomowo and Thomas Jones, who have had medium-term injuries of their own. Otomowo has been out since Monday with a knee injury. Thomas Jones since Sunday with that calf ankle that we thought was maybe originally an Achilles, but turned out not to be. Both of those guys could get back tomorrow. So, really just seems like a big day of precaution as they went from the night practice last night into the day practice today.
Yeah, pristine memory there by you. That's pretty impressive. You kind of had to deal with the covering it last night and then waking up this morning too. A little bit different for me. I missed practice yesterday for the first time. This camp actually. So you mentioned it's kind of boring today. I like to think I specialize in kind of finding the things in mundane that you can kind of talk about. One of them I joked with you was Cole Holcomb punching the ball so hard with Darnell Washington that he fell down after reception, which I did missed out on my chance to talk to Darnell Washington about that. I was kind of out on the outside.
Well, I did talk to Cole about that.
What did he say?
Oh, he was like, well, he said, the ball was right there. I wasn't trying to hit him. It was kind of a soft contact practice today, and he said he had apologized for how hard he hit him, but then he said, but I still knocked him down with one hand, so that's kind of cool. I still got it. Some good vibes today. No fights. No. There was, I guess, one during a DB drill, kind of got confrontational, but I think a more. I think the difference is when you have that many guys out, so many guys now are getting an opportunity they wouldn't otherwise get. You got Mason Rudolph working with the ones, which meant Will Howard working with the twos. You got a guy like Brandon Eccles starting at outside cornerback. And so I think the guys are probably a little bit more focused on that kind of stuff. Guys in new roles, guys getting new opportunities, than they are the sort of iron sharpens iron competition that defines so much training camp.
Yeah, and a few of those guys today were Scotty Miller. One, he ran a whip route on, I think it was the first play of the second team session with Rudolph. Rudolph threw him the ball, and no one touched him. He ran for the touchdown.
Just gone.
Yeah, and then James Pierre had 2 interceptions in the one-on-one drills. I think you posted on Twitter the man on fire there.
Yeah, he finished practice yesterday with an interception, had 2 interceptions and one-on-ones today. He's feeling himself. Don't rule out those guys from making roster spots. They're both special teams contributors, and when they get an opportunity to do something more than that, they play well. It's not like they play poorly. They're not great players, but I look at, Corey Trice, injured, hamstring again. Seems like it's always injuries for him. Now he gets hurt. Here comes Pierre, who's been starting ahead of him on special teams anyway, and now he plays really well. It's like, this is how Corey Trice loses a roster spot. Now, no, I don't think Calvin Austin's injured, and certainly isn't going to lose a roster spot, but you're looking at Robert Woods or, the bottom of that roster, slot wide receiver. Why not a guy like Scotty Miller, who's, I think, played as well as any wide receiver not named DK Metcalf in all of this training camp, not just today. I think you're starting to see some of those roster spot battles, which aren't always one guy versus one guy, but, take shape. And I think those two guys definitely put some marks in their column today.
Yeah, and Roman Wilson is another one of those guys that's in that mix that you mentioned. And I was watching, it was 7-on-7 down in the red zone. And it was a scramble drill. He comes from the back end zone in the front pylon, gets his hands on the ball, hits the ground really hard. Like he hit the ground and then the ball popped out. He grabbed his head, and I was wondering for a moment if his head hurt or if it was just like it turned up that he was just frustrated that he dropped the ball. So he's at a so-so camp, and I think that's kind of being generous in a way. But he's also one of those guys in the mix of those receivers that is really going to have to prove himself over the next few weeks.
Yeah, another thing I wrote about at SteelersNow.com, and actually my training camp takeaways are already out there, so you can go check those out as well. Troy Fautanu is not going to be a left tackle. Basically, Mike Tomlin said, we don't think he has the experience to go be versatile right now. They're keeping him on the right side. So even though Broderick Jones has been dealing with a groin injury, Calvin Anderson with that more extensive.
Calvin Austin at left tackle would be something.
Calvin Austin at left tackle. Next to Darnell Washington at tight end. That would actually be hilarious. Pitt used to run a play where they ran the tackle over and they put a wide receiver at tight end and run the wide receiver straight up the field because the defense thinks it's an offensive lineman and nobody remembers to cover him. I could see it. Just get him lost in the muck there, and then all of a sudden there's Calvin Austin running right down the middle of the field. Calvin Anderson also out. Dylan Cook's been playing a lot of left tackle. I think Dylan Cook has looked really, really good. I had Dylan Cook off my first 53-man roster projection when we got to training camp. The next one, which will come out on Monday, I think he's going to be on. I think he's been really good. So he's been playing a lot of left tackle. The one thing we haven't seen is Troy Fautanu over on the left side. Talked to Mike Tomlin about it today. He said, yeah, we're not going to do that. I actually talked to a team source about him earlier this week, and they said they don't think he's tall enough to play left tackle in the NFL. Remember in the pre-draft process, some people thought he might be a guard at this level. The Steelers obviously are very comfortable with him playing a tackle, but think that's going to stay on the right side. So that goes back to they're all in on Broderick Jones. There is no plan B. He's the starting left tackle come hell, high water, or Aaron Rodgers in several pieces in the backfield. What do you make of that?
Yeah, we talked to him last week about Troy Fautanu. That sticks out to me first. But you kind of see people talking about the fact that Broderick Jones isn't as big as Darnell Washington is.
Yeah.
Which they're about the same size. Darnell lost some weight this offseason, so did Broderick. Out of a first-round pick, you kind of have to go all in. Like, you drafted this guy in the first round. You have to trust in him and at least try and see what he can do at his original spot that you haven't put him at yet.
Yeah, I think, I think the reasoning at least makes sense. I think Broderick Jones' skill set is probably better suited to right tackle. Maybe they got a right tackle and a guard there, and they need to go find a left tackle in the future. But that's not going to be in 2026 because they're probably going to draft a quarterback. Although I will say, I thought Will Howard did look good today. He had a read option where he just Ekuliota got leaned in the wrong direction. He was like, Will Howard's not going to keep. Oh, no. And then there goes.
No one was within like a 15, 20-yard radius of him.
I mean, he ran like 25 yards before there was anyone else in the camera shot. Miles Killebrew eventually kind of corralled him. But I thought he looked good today. I don't think there is any chance that he has any opportunity to play well enough here in the preseason or what happens during the season that the Steelers will not draft a quarterback in the first round next year. But I don't think the idea of long-term, maybe Broderick is a right tackle or maybe a guard or maybe Fautanu moves inside the guard and they add another left tackle is not crazy. Maybe in free agency. They do have a lot of cap space. Anything else before we wrap up here from practice number 9?
Mason Rudolph talked after practice today. I wrote about that, and he's happy to be back after I wrote about how he wore a different uniform, different number last year, and he says that he feels like he's home. So kind of makes sense being that he spent the first, 6 years of his career?
Yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense there.
There you go. From Ren and Hal, I'm Alan Saunders. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will be back with another Steelers practice report after practice on Sunday. Not you. DB will be here with me tomorrow, so there you go. DB was here today, too, but he's, elsewhere. Hit that bell for notifications. Back with more after Sunday's practice, and then a blessed off day on Monday, but we'll still have Morning Rush, Afternoon Drive, all the usual content here on the YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out. Until then, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and enjoy.